This is the Dr. Berg Show. Live from the nation's capital, it's time to get healthy, lose weight, and feel great. Call now to speak with Dr. Berg at 866-561-4292. And now, Dr. Eric Berg.
Good morning, and we're here to answer your questions live from the nation's capital, which is Virginia. No, I'm just kidding. We're in Virginia, but we're very close. So I want to get right into it because there's a lot of callers already. So the first caller we're going to take is Nida. You're from Orlando. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Berg. I've been taking the adrenal support formula, hoping that it would lower my blood pressure.
Yeah.
But it's for a few months and it hasn't. I do know that you recommend the D3 K2 for high blood pressure.
Yeah.
My question is K2. I know it removes the calcium in the blood system, but does the K2 form the blood clots? How would that help lower blood pressure?
Yeah, good question. So there's two things. Number one, vitamin K2 removes soft tissue calcium from the arteries, so thereby making the arteries more elastic. So really it's about making your arteries more elastic so they can not be so rigid, because when the blood pressure comes in, what causes a lot of times high blood pressure is the arteries are just basically hardened, and so the blood pressure goes up because they can't compensate. So now, will it cause clotting? Well, that's K1, not K2, all right? So, and we need vitamin K1, so you don't have to be afraid of taking K1. That's a whole different other seminar or talk, because there's the Coumadin, which people are taking to prevent blood clots, but that's a whole different situation. I have some videos on it, so you don't have to be afraid of taking K2 and you're going to clot at all. It basically removes soft tissue calcium. It works with vitamin D3 and it works really good. Now that being said, the other thing that you really need to do, Nida, is for blood pressure is lower your insulin. And I have a ton of videos on this. Really what's behind it, it's called insulin resistance. And that's a situation where the body has too much insulin, so it resists it because it's trying to prevent you from putting too many refined carbs and sugar into the cell. And that signals the pancreas to go, wow, we're low in insulin and glucose, so let's increase more. So now we have a situation where we produce more insulin. That's why diabetics have high blood pressure a lot more than people who are not diabetics. So you need to cut out the refined carbs. You need to consume a lot of potassium foods. Potassium will also lower blood pressure as well. But you need a lot. You need a huge bowl, probably minimum 7 cups a day. Okay, so the combination of that, and then to put the icing on the cake, well, I probably shouldn't talk about cake, you want to do intermittent fasting. So that is going to also drop insulin because you're eating less frequently, and every time you eat, it increases insulin, so we don't want to do that. So the point is we want to start with 3 meals a day, no snacks, okay? If that's hard, add fat to the meal to go longer between the meals so you're not hungry. Do that for about 3 weeks, and then start kind of slowly pushing your breakfast towards lunch. So now you're eating later and later and later for breakfast. In fact, don't eat if you're not hungry. The goal is to be able to go as long as you can in the morning to have your first meal and then have one more at dinner. If you did that, I mean, it's almost a guarantee to lower your blood pressure. But of course, anything that I'm saying in this presentation, I'm not meant to diagnose or cure you or make any claims. Get with your doctor before you take action in any of the recommendations. Okay, that's my disclaimer. But anyway, take that, do the research, and watch the videos on intermittent fasting. All right, thanks. So now we have a call from Vanessa. You're from California, Orange County. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call. Currently, I'm taking your insulin glucose support, gallbladder, and then the electrolyte and the apple cider vinegar, along with the K2 and D3 and the multivitamin. Now, I also doing the ketogenic eating plan and the intermittent fasting. I experienced, it's been 3 months going on to the whole program, and I experienced some muscle loss low energy. Sometimes I be able to work out, sometimes I don't, especially if I join like aerobic class. I can't like keep up with people, basically running up and down, at that space. And then I also experienced some like cramps and a sour stomach once in a while.
Okay.
So those are my
This
symptoms.
is good.
The muscle loss. I'm sorry. The muscle loss is like totally I used to have muscle because I do work out before, and now it's just like hanging my underarms and
Okay.
and also my legs when I walk upstairs really heavy, just like you described on some of your videos.
Okay. Good. So Vanessa, tell me when's your first meal? What time is your first meal?
So I couldn't do the 16 hours fasting. It's usually about 12 to 14. So
Okay, that's fine. When's your first meal?
Yeah. Well, in the morning, it's probably sometime between 9 to 10.
Okay, and what do you eat?
And I woke up. Oh, what do I eat?
What do you eat?
Yes, so the mix of usually 2 eggs,
Okay.
and I try to measure the 3 ounces of protein and 50 ounces of protein. You got the fat divided. I follow your
Yeah, Vanessa,
your
real
video,
quickly,
so I
just
try
tell
to
me,
balance.
Vanessa. So just for time,
Yeah.
just real quickly. So you have eggs in the morning. Then when's the next meal?
I usually eggs and protein and fat in the morning.
Okay. What do you
And
have
the next
for
meal
lunch?
would be not eggs, but usually I do the kale juice. I do a lot of salad, like you said. Well,
Okay.
sometimes I miss day, but I do the most of it, yes. So I usually add some protein, which is fish, some beef, some
Okay.
chicken, but I usually add some fats to it, and coconut fat.
Okay.
Coconut.
Good. And then when's the next time you eat?
So usually about maybe 7 or 8.
7 or 8?
5.
Okay.
All depends, yeah. But I'm within, the 12 hours to 14 hours window
And
in
then
the morning.
what do you have for dinner?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my dinner, which is probably some vegetables, mixed vegetables, and again, I also incorporate the protein and the fat. I take a lot of nuts as well, those nuts, yeah.
Okay, good. Now, question. Do you crave anything?
Not really until sometime I just, I started with the chia pudding, your recipe, and I love that, so I have,
Do you crave anything?
too much. No, well, I would say the most part, no. I mean, I'm totally doing like 90% of what I don't used to be eating. I get rid of it.
Okay.
So I do have a little bit of cheating in there, but most of the time.
Okay, what do you cheat with?
Well, if I mix my protein powder sometimes, and then have a little bit of sugar. I try to cut it low, but sometimes it has the 6 grams.
Okay.
And yeah. And
Okay.
the fruit once in a while I throw in
Fruit.
for the protein
Okay.
smoothie. Yeah.
All right. So Vanessa, so let me just kind of tell you, give you some tips on this. This is good that this came up because this happens to a lot of people. You're experiencing muscle loss. It's real interesting with this whole keto. You have this keto energy. You're running your body on ketosis versus glucose. It's really an all or none. It won't work with a little bit of too many fruits or sugar, or it just won't work because it's going to knock you out of ketosis. So to fix that, I would go 100% on board without any fruits, because even if I add some fruits or add some hidden sugar, the next day or so, or even 3 days, I don't feel quite right. I mean, occasionally like one time I had a grapefruit, I just didn't feel quite right. So the point is that I don't think you're fully in 100% of ketosis. That's what I think. Now, the fact that it sounds like the meals are okay, but the intermittent fasting, you're probably only at the first stage, which is 3 meals, and they're pretty far apart. So I think you just have to work towards having an earlier dinner and a later breakfast to start working on that, because intermittent fasting, we want to shoot for a 4-hour window, but we might stick with a 8-hour window. So you're not, I think you're like 9 and then 7. That's pretty wide. So you're going to start shortening that intermittent fasting to the point where you can do it more and more. So you're really just in the transition phase yet, and that's probably why the muscles are not being salvaged or maintained as well. So as long as you can tighten up that little thing where you're having more intermittent fasting and you're truly not cheating in between, it's going to work, but you have to really do it 100%. That's all I'm saying. Thanks, Vanessa. Hey, Arlene, you're from Delaware. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes, hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm calling because I have a question for you. My husband, he has COPD, and he's coughing an awful lot, and they have him on a few different inhalers. And we're going away. We're going to Mexico, and I wanted to know what we can do for him, and is it safe for him to fly? And I also have cellulite in my leg, and I wanted to know, is it safe for me to fly, and what can I do? And my last question is a fishy odor that I have when I urinate. What does that mean, and what can I do about it?
Okay, question I have. Are you doing the ketogenic intermittent fasting at all yet?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not my husband. I'm trying to get him to do it, but I am.
Okay, great, thanks. So Arlene, let's first talk about your husband, the lung. I think this trip's going to be very healthy for him because, especially if there's a lot of sun, vitamin D is the key vitamin for the lung because vitamin D acts like a hormone and it helps improve the adrenal hormones, cortisol. So it's a really great thing for asthma, lung conditions, emphysema, COPD. Oh my gosh, so we do high levels of that. Now the other thing that can cause lung problems is mold or fungus that's living in the lungs. So if he was exposed like to something in the basement, if that's the case, that would be a situation where if he, and I'm not recommending taking antifungal, but he probably would feel better and then it comes back. So there's oregano, it's oregano pearls. It's in these little pearls. You can get it online or at the store. Take these little pearls, take that, and in higher amounts, that will start killing off any mold or fungus in the lungs. So that's another thing you can do. High levels of natural vitamin C foods are going to be key. He's going to have to cut out the sugar. Supplement-wise, there's a supplement that I would highly recommend for it basically supports like adrenal, kind of a low adrenal, and it's called Adrenal Fatigue Advanced Formula. I think that would really help him to kind of make this transition really nice. As far as cellulite goes, there's several videos you can watch, but in a thumbnail sketch, cellulite is a combination of atrophy in the muscles and actual fat, but it's a combination. So from my experience, you cannot get rid of cellulite unless you're on a very active exercise program, get a personal trainer or something, just to start working on those muscles because the muscle starts losing the tone, especially when you get in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and that has to be toned up to really get rid of the atrophy. It's because especially as you go into menopause, the adrenals start kicking in and making the muscles just really loose, and it's not just all fat. So, and the problem is with exercise is that it's very difficult to target fat exactly in your hips or thighs. It'll go in the stomach first and then eventually in the thighs. So the combination will eventually get you there of maintaining the ketogenic and intermittent fasting and then adding some serious exercise in there as well. I would do, if you can do it, high intense interval training. In the fish order, what that means is that you need more greens to flush out some of the waste that's coming out probably from the liver. So I would add more leafy greens, parsley, beet tops, the cruciferous, put them in a kale shake, maybe a little berries, and I think you're going to do very well. Thanks. Okay, so a man from San Francisco, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate you so much, and thank you so much for all your videos. You are an amazing teacher. My question is about slow learning.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know your thoughts about it and if there is any way to solve this problem by taking some supplements or food.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second question is about hearing problem.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I feel like I don't really hear very well,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be the reason for slow learning.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I don't.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I had to do that.
Sometimes I do that, yeah. Yeah, and the third question is about feeling cold. I feel cold all the time, and I don't know why.
Okay. Hey, are you doing the intermittent fasting and ketosis? Are you doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've been following you for about 3 years now.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about. Slow learning. There's two things. As you do the ketogenic intermittent fasting, it really supports, more than anything, the nerve cell. The nerve cells will actually, ketones are neuroprotective, especially in the area of what's called the hippocampus, which is the kind of the relay switch with the part of the mind that actually affects learning, which I'm not going to get into at this point, but the point is it's a relay switch. So you can improve that memory, prevent cognitive dysfunction, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and especially spatial remembering, like location in time and space. That's a good one, and then memory, and then learning. That's the kind of the center. So ketones are going to support that greatly. They're going to reduce stress on the neurons versus the glucose. So I think you need to keep going in that area and add exercise, and then make sure you're doing intermittent fasting pretty hardcore, 2 meals a day. That being said, if you still have learning problems, I recommend that you email my office, Dr. Berg, Berg at drberg.com, and ask just to have them routed to me regarding something I'm learning. I learned how to study after I graduated from grad school. A little late to never, but in school they don't really teach us how to learn. So there's a technology of how to learn, and I'll actually refer you to a book that I recommend, because they don't teach you how to learn. It's all about memorization. So there's actually some barriers of learning that you can find out about to really pick up your ability to grasp and digest information, versus just looking at a page for a half hour. It's just not going in. So it could be not necessarily your neurons. It could be basically you've never been taught how to learn something effectively. And I'm not talking about memorization or speed reading. So email us at drberg@gmail if you want to know more about that book, as a side note. Now, as far as feeling cold goes, you need to, normally it's thyroid, okay? So it could also be other things as well, but let's just talk about the thyroid. It's very unlikely that you have a primary thyroid. It's usually coming secondary from a gallbladder or liver issue. So to improve that, you can take some bile salts to help the conversion of T4 to T3. A lot of times that works. Sometimes you have to add iodine from sea kelp. Sometimes you have to add selenium. And then lastly, estrogen. If your estrogen is too high, if it's dominant, that can block the thyroid. So that's just other things that you need to look at to increase your thermostat there. So go ahead and do that, and then let me know how you do. Thanks. So Amy, you're from Atlanta. Go ahead, you're on the air.
I am. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I love your pizza.
Oh, good. Thanks.
I began my keto diet 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've used your videos as my guide. I'm doing really well. I've transitioned on to 2 meals a day, but I'm still needing a snack between. My first meal is about 10 a.m. in the morning, and then dinner between 4 and 5. But I'm still getting a little hungry in the afternoon around noon, so I've been having a list of snacks. My question to you is this. I know I watched your video on protein bars, but there's one specific one called a Quest bar.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to include on my snack list? They're a protein bar, but they only have about 5 net carbs.
Good question. The question I have for you, so you're trying to do 2 meals a day, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right.
But I get a little hungry in the afternoon and a little bit tired, so I
Yeah.
found that just having a little salad or a snack just helps me get to that extra 3 hours. And then I do the fasting from around 4:30, 5 o'clock until 10 o'clock the next morning, and I do okay.
I think you're doing overall really, really good. So let me just kind of answer that. I think that I think it's going to take some time to get to the point where you can fully adapt and start beefing up your breakfast a little bit bigger and adding maybe a whole avocado or more potassium. That's number one. The other thing that you may want to try is right around lunch, have a big, huge salad. Okay, so do the salad part at lunch. The other thing you can do is the Quest bar. You can try that too. I would prefer the salad, but the Quest bar, if you still experience good results with the Quest bar, then you're fine. Most people do fine on the sugar alcohols. Quest bar is probably one of the only bars that has like a very low net carb. Some of these other ones don't. So I'm familiar with the Quest bar. I guess there's only one ingredient that I'm not crazy about. It's a type of, and I think it's non-GMO, but it's a type of corn soluble fiber, which has a very zero glycemic index, but it tends to create a lot of bloating. Okay, so, but try it out. You may be very successful on that. So I'm not opposed to it. You can try it out. Try the salad dough, but give it more time till eventually you fully keto adapt to the point where you can do that. And then also try to beef up your fat for breakfast and your potassium from the avocados. Thanks, Amy. Hey, Dee, you're on the air. You're from New Jersey.
Hi, Dr. Berg. I'm so grateful to find your videos. I just discovered you a few weeks ago.
Cool.
So my first question is about my dad. He has an inguinal hernia, and he's up in age. He's over 90, and he doesn't want to have surgery. So he wanted to know if there are any recommendations that you have for that. And also, my other question is about, you did a video with your wife called The Healthiest Bread Ever in the World. And you said that the wheat bread, if you make your own wheat bread, it'll last 6 days because the bread in the store is dead. But you don't recommend it. So I had already bought wheat meal to make my own bread. And then, but my question is, isn't the almond flour and the arrowroot flour and all that stuff already dead also? Because they've been on the shelves also.
Good question. Good. Okay, so let me answer those. Let's start with the herniation. Herniations is basically a loss of collagen connective tissue. And you have a lot of disorders that are collagen problems. Hernias, aneurysms, also even lesions in the arteries, like little holes. Leaky gut is a collagen disorder. And I believe the root of all those is basically a vitamin C deficiency. Let me explain. Vitamin C is the key vitamin to help synthesize or make collagen. So when you're vitamin C deficient, you lose the structure. Like even in the colon, for example, the gaps normally should be like 1 to 7 microns, which are really small. Leaky gut, you're like 200 to 300 microns. It's like huge holes. So you get this undigested protein that goes in there, it develops allergies, and you start getting all sorts of food allergies. But the point is with the aneurysm, it's usually a vitamin C deficiency. Now you say, well, I take vitamin C. Well, number one, most people take a synthetic from ascorbic acid, and that is not the part of the vitamin C complex that you need. In nature, vitamin C comes with a lot of different parts, specifically bioflavonoids. It's the bioflavonoids, like rutin and bioflavonoids and flavonoids, which are mainly in like a lot of the cruciferous, lemon peel. The best bioflavonoids on the planet would be buckwheat, sprouted buckwheat, but you'd get it in a supplement. And there's other ones as well, like parsley is loaded. Onions are loaded with that. All that is very high in vitamin C, the part that you need or your father needs to help repair the collagen. Okay. There's 2 other things that will deplete vitamin C. Number one, insulin resistance, so it's sugar. Okay. So that has to be corrected. And the last thing is smoking. So smoking blocks vitamin C. I think 1 cigarette will deplete you of 25 milligrams of vitamin C. So if he's a smoker, that could be a situation. All right, so that's what I would do to recommend that. Now, as far as the healthiest bread in the world, if you're going to make bread, it's really hard to make the texture. The recipe I have is like, the texture is like amazing. You probably already tried it. It's just incredible. There is one ingredient in there called arrowroot, which is slightly high glycemic, but you're using so small amounts that it's really a minor point. Okay, and I'm not saying, you can just have it every so often as well, but it's a really good bread. The almond flour is very low glycemic, so that's going to be fine. It's from a nut, but the bread that you're talking about is the wheat bread, and I actually mentioned in some of my older videos, if you take whole wheat berries and you grind them yourself and you make your own bread, you're going to retain a lot of the B vitamins. Okay, so because they go bad after 6 days because they oxidize. Well, I was only talking about the nutrient value in bread, like getting some nutrition from it. What I didn't talk about in that video is that it's still going to be high glycemic. It's still not okay on a ketogenic diet. That's why. So yes, the almond flour, we're not necessarily consuming that for nutrients. We're consuming it for keeping our carbs low. So yes, we have lost some nutrients because it's ground down. But the point on the whole wheat is that as soon as it's ground into flour, you lose the vitamins pretty quick. So all this bread in the store, it's made from flour that's been sitting on the shelf for a long, long time. So it's very low in nutrients. So I hope that answered that question. Hey, Leslie, you're from Puerto Rico. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Berg,
Good morning.
and thank you for your time.
Sure.
My question is about the coconut sugar in the ketogenic diet.
The what?
I want to know about the coconut sugar.
Oh, the coconut
in the
sugar.
keto
Okay,
diet.
got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the coconut sugar, unfortunately, is pretty darn high. Now, it's not as bad as table sugar, but it's probably, 20% less. So it has a lot of good potassium and nutrients. But just like molasses, it's still very high in sugar, and that will keep you from going into ketosis because the carbohydrates are too high. The sugar in there is just too high. So even though, there's things like the honey and agave nectar and some of these so-called natural sweeteners, they're still not really good for a ketogenic diet because of the amount of sugar. Even if you take coconut water, that's pretty high in sugar. So I don't recommend that either, even though it has vitamins, like potassium, like 300 milligrams. So yeah, sorry about that. Hey, Victoria, you're from Arizona. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask, my sister and I have been doing the ketogenic diet for, I'd say till like February. And my sister has been going through a ton of like life-changing stresses. And this is all happening all at once. We're doing the ketogenic diet. She's adrenal body type. And basically, she hasn't really lost any weight whatsoever. And my question is while you're under this extreme stress and you're doing the ketogenic diet, will it cause your body to stall and go into a plateau? And then the second part is, how long does it take for your adrenals to get back to normal, like the aftermath of the stress?
Yeah.
And that's basically my question.
Great question. I have a question for you. Is she also doing intermittent fasting?
Here and there.
Okay.
Like she basically, she does do intermittent fasting. I'd probably say like 85% of the time.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about that, Victoria. Good question. Very good question. Stress, whether it's mental stress, whether it's emotional stress, losses, being stuck between a rock and a hard place, are worse than physical trauma and stress. It's still going to activate cortisol. Cortisol, what that does is it converts your own muscle protein into glucose and sugar. That's why a lot of diabetics can be actually stem from high levels of cortisol, prednisone, or even going through a lot of stress. You take a diabetic and you ask them, when did you start becoming a diabetic? Well, it's after a stress event many times. So yeah, so stress is keeping her from getting into a full fat burning effect. Absolutely. There are several things that I would recommend. Of course, the anatomy of a problem is like an indecision. So a lot of times, if you list all the problems that you have, you're going to see a lot of those are indecisive. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this or do that? So as long as one way to get rid of problems is just make a decision, decide one way or the other, and just start deciding, and your problems tend to kind of be less. But the point is that she's going to have to either eliminate that stress somehow, I don't know what it is, or maximize the coping with the stress, like daily long walks for an hour to an hour and a half, adding in every other day some high intensity exercise. Change your environment, go get out and go into nature, things like that. Go for long walks. Don't talk to someone, just get out there and just look at trees, birds, clouds, because you want to get your attention off the problem that you're thinking about 24/7. And then, because that activates the adrenals, it keeps it active. The other thing is that she definitely needs to consistently stick in there the intermittent fasting. That will, see, ketogenic diet in general works to some degree, but if your metabolism is slow and you're doing snacks between, you won't see the great effects. So intermittent fasting will greatly accelerate the effectiveness of ketogenic diets. So you want to go to 3 meals, no snacks, and then 2 meals, no snacks. That probably is what she needs to do. The last thing would be to enhance the sleep a little more. But people that are stressed don't really sleep. So I would recommend a couple things. My sleep aid works really good for sleep. Take one before you go to bed. And then the adrenal and cortisol relief during the day, just to kind of cope with the adrenals and support them nutritionally. Those are some things that I would do to help. So I hope that helped. All right, so Jennifer, you're on the air. You're from Cleveland. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I'm so honored. I've been doing low carb, high fat for about 6 weeks, and I've watched a ton of your YouTube videos. Basically, my question is, and I'll give you a little history if you want it, but my question is, can you have gallbladder pain or inflammation without any stones? I've had some gallbladder pain and issues recently, and I went and had an ultrasound, and they found absolutely nothing wrong. All my blood work's normal, and there's no stones, but I'm having pain like in my rib cage, right side area, kind of radiating slightly to the back. So that's my question.
Okay, good. So I have a question for you. Are you doing intermittent fasting?
No, not yet. No,
Okay.
I've been doing this way of eating for about 6 weeks. I've lost 15 pounds.
Wow.
And dropped my glucose number from 101 to 82.
Wow.
But no, not intermittent fasting yet, no.
Okay. Next question. Are you doing a lot of nuts right now?
I am.
Okay. Peanut butter?
Peanuts, not peanut butter.
Okay. All right.
Peanuts and almonds mostly, and almond flour,
Okay. Yeah, so here's the thing, Jennifer. A couple things. You can totally have stress in the gallbladder without having stones. Absolutely. So there's several things you need to do to handle that. The first thing is intermittent fasting. The purpose of the gallbladder is to store and concentrate bile, because when you eat, you need bile in a state of super concentration, like 20 times. So if you're eating too frequently, you drain out this bile and you don't have a chance to concentrate the bile. So now we always have a little bit deficiency of bile, which puts a strain on the digestion because you're not fully going to break down the fats, especially the nuts. So it's always incomplete fat. So the fat kind of just aggravates it and just kind of keeps it inflamed and swollen. But if you take intermittent fasting, think about what you're doing. You're dropping insulin, you're giving the gallbladder a rest, you're allowing it to reset over a period of time. Oh my gosh, it's the best thing for the gallbladder. It's the best thing. If you can go to 2 meals, like maybe a late morning and then an early dinner, you won't have gallbladder problems. Now the nuts, you may want to kind of cut down on the nuts because they tend to, they have enzyme inhibitors, they're harder to digest, they're just, there's stress in the gallbladder. So I would probably switch those out for something else, but they're a really good go-to, I know that. The last thing is to increase the cruciferous vegetables, the salads, to help clean out that gallbladder so it doesn't get too congested with some of the proteins and the fats. Okay? All right, good question. Hey, Melanie, you're on the air. You're from, let's see, New Haven. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank
Hi.
you for taking my call. I have discovered you about 3 weeks ago, and the first 2 weeks I did a gradual change into ketosis. I was still eating some fruits and still drinking coffee, having my glass of wine a couple of days a week. This past week I have cut out every type of sugar that I've had in the previous week, so I am not drinking any coffee with that sugary creamer anymore. I have cut out wine and fruits, and I am strictly protein and veggies. My question is, I am craving my end of the day sweet coffee, so I was wondering if having something as like a sugar-free Jell-O, if that's a safe thing to eat. That's my first question. My second question, too, is that I've been experiencing a lot of joint pain, muscle stiffness, and fatigue in the last 3 weeks. I have taken, this past week I had a full blood work, and everything came back negative and everything came back normal. So I'm wondering if the muscle and the stiffness can I attribute that to the ketoing?
Got it. Okay. Good question. I think you've probably been on this program truly 1 week, and you're just in the very beginning. Your body has not converted over because you still crave. So you're right in this keto adaptation beginning. Okay. So another 2 weeks, it'll probably never 1 week it'll go away. But in the transition, you probably need electrolytes. You probably want to see if you can get some. My electrolytes have 1,000 milligrams of potassium. That should take away a lot of the symptoms from potassium. So you should do really good on that. But in addition to that, get some nutritional yeast and start taking B vitamins, because the B vitamins and potassium will make the transition really, really good. Now, the joint pain will go away with a little more time, because this getting into a full-blown ketosis reduces inflammation. In the meantime, not a problem with the sugar-free Jell-O. You can do that. That's not an issue. But just make sure you have more fat at each meal to go longer. All right? Thanks. So we're going to take a little break. We'll come right back, and stay tuned.
Call the show now at 866-561-4292. The doctor returns in a moment.
Hey guys, I'm back on the board. So I always want to just kind of, jot down some things. I think the last call, I'm not sure if people got the information. I wanted to answer it again because somehow there's a mic issue. So I want to talk about answering, I think it was Melanie's call. So hopefully you're still watching. So I'm going to just kind of answer that again. She asked about sugar-free Jell-O. Can I do that? Absolutely, you can do sugar-free Jell-O. It's not a problem. That's a good transition. But you said you did it for 3 weeks, and then 1 week really strict. So you're right in the middle of keto adaptation, which does take a good couple, 3 weeks, maybe more until you're fully adapted. The fact that you're craving sweets means that you're not fully adapted yet. So that's the thing that you need to focus on, is just do it do it longer, and then you need to add more electrolytes and B vitamins. So I recommend, I have a really good electrolyte powder. It has 1,000 milligrams of potassium, no maltodextrin, it has trace minerals, all the electrolytes. You take 1 scoop of that. It'll really make you get through this easily. You can get that on the drberg.com. The other thing is, go to Amazon and get some nutritional yeast or at the health food store and take a tablespoon of that. That will make the transition really easy. Okay? And then the other thing is add more fat with the meals so you can go longer so you're not hungry at night. But again, if you're craving, just hang in there and it's going to happen, and all of a sudden it's going to switch and your body has to adapt. So I just wanted to talk about, you know, I've been talking about this subject for quite a while, and I'm staying on this topic because of basically changing your body's fuel source to a different fuel source and the importance of that. I think as the more I look at this, the more I am blown away at the benefits that an average body can get by switching fuel sources from sugar fuel to fat fuel. The benefits are just amazing. I'm going to talk about some of the benefits because when you actually, your body is running on ketones, neurologically, it's neuroprotective. It protects the brain cells. It helps as effective treatment for seizures, epileptic seizures, bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, autism. I mean, that's incredible. It's a way better fuel source for the brain than sugar, hands down. Running your brain on sugar depletes oxygen and adds a lot more stress. The thing that ketones do is they help you make more of the energy factories in the brain, specifically the hippocampus, which is the relay switch to the memory, to learning, to spatial memory. And so, I mean, your cognitive function is going to improve greatly by running your body on ketones. But you need to combine ketosis with intermittent fasting. Now, a couple other things that it'll do. High amounts of insulin deplete vitamin C, okay? Vitamin C is intimately involved in collagen production. So let's just take your artery. In your arteries, you have a single layer of cells called the epithelial cells. It's the vascular epithelial cells. It's this little lining that helps filtration, the tone of the artery, and the exchange of fluid through your lymph system. So if you're vitamin C deficient, you're not going to make the collagen. You're going to get little holes or lesions into the artery itself. Okay, and that's coming from high levels of insulin. So then, the signal, you're going to have a Band-Aid come in there, LDL, and start to patch that up. That so-called bad cholesterol, LDL, is your friend. It's not the problem. It's there to help fix the lesion from the vitamin C deficiency. So it's not necessarily that you're not consuming vitamin C from the food. Maybe you're not because you're not having the vegetables. It's the high insulin that's depleting vitamin C. Okay? So then you get the clot of the arteries, and this is the first thing that, well, high insulin, and this is the second thing, and then cholesterol comes in there, and then calcium comes in there, and then you get a clogged artery. That's what's really behind it. Okay? But you can call this scurvy, which is vitamin C deficiency of the arteries. There's also scurvy of the colon. Same thing happens. You have the colon, you have the wall of the colon, and think about it. What happens in the colon? You absorb all your nutrients. So you break down the food, the microbes break down the food, and it's supposed to be absorbed through these little junctions here into the lymphatic system and then up into the blood. And so normally those little spaces where you absorb nutrients are very tiny, between 1 and 7 microns. When you get leaky gut, it goes between 200 to 300 microns. They're like huge gaps. Well, what causes that is a vitamin C deficiency from the high levels of insulin. Yes, gluten is one of the causes for sure, no doubt. But what happens when you cut out the gluten and things don't clear up? Well, that's because it's the vitamin C deficiency. You have this leaky gut, and then all this undigested protein goes into the lymphatic system. The immune system attacks it. You start developing allergies to everything, all these food allergies, especially proteins. So now you can't eat anything. And then it scars. What's the solution? To fix the insulin thing, okay? and then take some really good vitamin C bioflavonoids from foods, cruciferous and things like that, to start healing this up so you can get rid of the inflammation. Other benefits, belly fat. If you have belly fat, you have high insulin, okay? Belly fat, cognitive functions, high cholesterol. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. PCOD, polycystic ovarian syndrome, acne. I mean, there's so many benefits, okay? So I'm trying to sell you on the concept that this is a really good thing to do for your body, so you might want to try it. Okay, let's go back over to the computer and take another call. Hey, Robert, you're from Thailand. You have a question. Go ahead.
That's right. Oh, boy, I got a couple, but here. I've been doing the low carb to basically no carb. I have been doing intermittent fasting between 12 and 16, 17 hours a day. I eat one meal around 2 to 4 o'clock. I think I'm doing the right things. I'm eating good fats. I'm eating butter and all that. And I just got my readings today, which I was a little stunned on my A1C and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering what I could be doing wrong. Tell me if this thinking's right, Dr. Berg. I basically think that if you have high insulin, I do have belly fat. I've been a diabetic for 25 years. I've had some really great wins, and right now I'm not doing as well. My A1C was 8.6.
What was it before? What was it before?
The last time I did it, something strange happened. I made my mind up that I was going to lower my A1C, and I did take metformin, 2,000 milligrams a day, but I was doing the intermittent fasting, and it was 6.1 from 10.1 1 month later.
Okay, so I have a question. What other blood values were incorrect or not good?
Well, what are the blood values?
Cholesterol?
I have it right here. Cholesterol, well, my HDL was 54, which I thought was great. It's pretty good. My LDL was 163. I think I'm not sure about the rest of it.
Okay.
If you just hang on 1 second, if you can. I have it right here. Okay. I mean, I want to be healthy, and I want to be in ketosis, and I want to not take metformin, which I'm not taking anything now. But do you agree with this statement? Most of these alternative doctors are saying you want to treat the symptom. You don't want to take the insulin because you'll just take more and more. You don't want to take the metformin because it'll lead you to the insulin. Your blood sugars could be coming down, but your diabetes could be getting worse. So you got to deal with the problem. And as I'm learning, it's insulin resistance. Correct?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, Rob, let me talk about this. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I think you're on the right track. I always recommend things on a gradient, right? You're on medication, you take less, and then you come off of it, and then you kind of do this, not like a one shot too fast. Sometimes people can't do that. I think you're on the right track. I would want to make sure that your eating is, you have a lot of, if you're doing one meal, it's really a robust, huge salad, and then do protein and healthy fats. Sounds like you're already doing that. Electrolytes are going to be important, especially potassium, because for diabetics, that can actually improve things. But here's the point. If you've been a diabetic for 20-something odd years, you know that it's going to take some time, but also insulin resistance is a problem where insulin as a key is not working anymore. You can look at insulin like the chef that feeds the cell glucose, but it's also a key that allows nutrients in the cell, potassium, magnesium, amino acids, and a lot more nutrition. In other words, almost every single nutrient, I'm talking about vitamin A, D, chromium, omega-3 fatty acids, B vitamins are all influencing insulin. So what happens if you have insulin resistance, you can't absorb those nutrients. And if you don't have those nutrients, you can't fix the insulin resistance. By taking more nutrients, you can actually improve insulin resistance. So that's why I'm saying that diet has to be really robust and healthy. And then intermittent fasting and ketosis will start improving it. The combination there will be really good. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is that A1C is not the most accurate test in the world to determine if you have diabetes. It's one factor to look at, but there's other variables that will make it high that are not related to blood sugars. I like to look at your symptoms, a fasting glucose, which is not always the best thing either, a fasting insulin, which is the better indicator, and also it's a postprandial glucose test where you basically get a glucometer and you check your blood sugars 2 hours after you eat. Okay, and the American Diabetes Association says it should be like 140. I'm saying it should be 120. Okay, so it should come down or even lower. If that's coming down, I like that test the better because it's a functional test to see how you're recovering. So get these other tests. Don't be too concerned about just one test, and also retest it. Because if you took that test when you're stressed, or you didn't sleep, or maybe you didn't drink enough water, whatever, it can alter your data. All right? Hey, but thanks for calling from Thailand. Hey, Sandra, you're from New York. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I have been doing intermittent fasting now for 2 months.
Uh-huh.
I haven't lost any weight, but I did stop taking my hydrochlorothiazide that I always took for water retention, so now that's kind of disappeared, so I don't need to take it. And I'm always doing avocado every day. I can do my first meal is usually around 2, and then my next one's like between 5 and 6. So I can go almost 19 to 22 hours without eating.
Wow.
And the only thing I do is a cup of coffee in the morning. I do a half calf because I'm not really a caffeine person.
Okay.
And I do use MCT oil. I do not do the butter, and I put my collagen peptides in my coffee in the morning. I don't know if that's throwing me off. I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe I'm not losing weight because of that. But I'm 45. I have severe arthritis everywhere to the point I have to have a hip replaced. Weird. I was a runner for years. I had to stop running. So that's why I have a hard time doing the high-intensity interval training because with my hip I can't do that. I've gotten 4 cortisone shots, so I don't know if that's what's giving me the issue, but without the cortisone, I can't walk. And I've been reading your book, and I read the section in regards to ovaries and a knee hurting, and it's really weird, but my left knee started to hurt probably like a month ago to the point that I was like ready to get an MRI, but I haven't done anything. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe it's the ovaries because I have an ovarian cyst on my right side. And as I told the guy that asked me the questions, I told him my knee hurts, and then also I've been taking the gallbladder stuff that you have, and I feel pain now after I eat on the left side, like more where the pancreas is. Maybe it's just digestive, but I've always had gallbladder pain. I've had MRI ultrasounds, I've had the gallbladder test. They find nothing.
Okay.
But if I eat too much, like if I eat too many eggs, I definitely get pain up under the liver area and into my back.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So I have a question.
What's your thoughts?
Question.
Okay.
Is your stomach shrinking?
It's going down a little bit. I bloat a lot. I am gluten-free. I'm dairy-free, so I know those are 2 intolerances for me. I've been that way for a long time. I don't do any bread. I'm trying to do 100% veggies and protein. And I have grass-fed beef. I bought a half a cow. So
okay, good. Well, good. Let's talk, Sandra. Okay, so here's what I'm going to recommend. There's an underlying thread that you mentioned. You had severe arthritis. So that tells me right there, there's been some adrenal issues in the past. And then the 4 cortisone shots. Okay, that's cortisone. That's gonna really kind of keep you from having ketosis work effectively. But the fact that you're losing your stomach tells me it's probably working, probably slowly, but it's still working. but you're getting more muscle mass, and that's stopping the weight loss. So I would want you to switch your goal to just monitor your waist as your indicator it's working, okay? Now, if you go through this over a period of time, the more you do this, the better the arthritis is going to be. Your inflammation is going to go down. It is the best therapy for you right now. Now, to clean up the cortisone shot side effect stuff, you need to take something called colostrum. It's kind of expensive. Get it in the powder form. Take a little before bed in some water, drink it down, and that will slowly start building up your immune system that was destroyed from the cortisone, okay? That's what happened to me, and that's what I had to do, and it really does work. And it just helps your liver, and it helps you increase growth hormone and other things too. Do what you can with exercise. I would add the apple cider vinegar plus thing, because I think you need some support for your stomach, so it'll activate the enzymes from the pancreas. And maybe take a little less gallbladder, but the fact that you had a chronic gallbladder just means it's going to take some time. But I love the fact that you're doing intermittent fasting. That is the thing you need. But to improve things, you may want to supplement the actual adrenal itself with something called adrenal fatigue advanced formula. That's the one you need, is for chronic inflammation. And see if you can take that in place of some of the shots. That's going to help you more than anything. The collagen you're taking in your coffee is going to spike insulin. So I probably would not, I would only do coffee with a little bit of cream, and that's it, nothing else. And that will help you. And the ovarian cysts, you're going to have to take some sea kelp for that to help that. That'll probably help your knee. Do a search on knee pain to do those techniques that I show you with the acupressure tool. And again, I think that's going to help you. There's a lot there, but this is another good question, because there's other health problems that complicate everything that you need to address. So I hope that gave you something, Sandra. Thanks. Hey, Christopher, you're from Arizona. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Thanks, Dr. Berg.
Sure.
Thanks for sharing all your knowledge and being so available for everyone. It's really awesome.
Sure.
I am a 52-year-old male, and I was looking for a good source of nitric oxide.
Yeah.
And I've been drinking organic beet juice, and from what I know, beets are really high in sugar, but I was wondering what your thoughts were on that as being something for guys my age to take, and or if there's a better source of nitric oxide.
Are you taking that for blood pressure or testosterone?
Yeah, for more of the health benefits that would be related to testosterone. You know, as we get into our 50s, we want to feel like we did when we were 20s. And,
right.
And so I was searching for something like that, because so yeah, I don't have any health problems that I would be taking anything for. I don't take anything. I'm completely in the organic food is medicine ideals, and I love a lot of the things that you talk about. So
awesome.
Anyway,
great.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing with that. As long as you calculate and not let the carbs go over maybe 30 grams for the day. So include those carbs, the beet juice, include those into your 30 grams a day. And I think that's one solution that you can do, so it doesn't go over that. So I think it's because there's great benefits in beet juice, especially that go way beyond nitric oxide. The couple of things that will improve testosterone, believe it or not, are button mushrooms for men. Yeah, because they lower estrogen and naturally increase testosterone. And there's a couple other ones too. Intermittent fasting will increase growth hormone, which, by the way, follows the pathways of testosterone. They both work together. You can do intermittent fasting and increase growth hormone by 300 to 2,000%. Then if we add high intense interval training on top of that, we can increase another 450%. Those are all things that I would highly recommend to do that. And of course, you probably are doing this, like really beef up your like kale shakes, cruciferous, for the liver, which will then help testosterone. That's like the best thing you can do for testosterone. Get more sleep, maybe take naps, do the high intense exercise. All that's really, really good. So that's pretty much my answer, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks. Hey, Carrie, you're from Tennessee. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
My my boyfriend was a nice, tall, 6'2" person with very good muscle tone, just kind of naturally with kind of normal activity. And a couple years he was put on blood pressure medications a couple years ago, about 4 years ago. And he was already on testosterone replacement therapy and Synthroid. He had a big stressful event and just kind of crashed. But after he was put on that medication, I noticed that he had a lot of muscle wasting. And now he's a nice, tall person, but like his muscles look like a little old man. You know, and so this year he was diagnosed with diabetes, and they wanted to put him on metformin or Invokana. And I'm kind of more the holistic person in the family, but he's the one in charge of the food. So I just put my foot down and I said, you know, we eat about the same thing, and I don't want to be right behind you on this track, and we need to find out what to do. So I've been watching your videos, and I'm trying to get us into the intermittent fasting and the cruciferous and protein thing. But I'm really concerned about this diagnosis, and I'm also wondering if some of this muscle wasting is side effects from the high blood pressure medication. And as you start healing and going into the intermittent fasting and taking care of the diet side of things, does the muscle return?
Okay,
I mean,
good
it's
question.
very concerning.
So let me answer that, Carrie. The reason why he has, and we can kill 2-3 birds with one stone on this. The cells have a key that allows the protein to go inside, amino acid to go inside, and the key is insulin. So we know he has insulin resistance, and that's what created the diabetes, that's what created the muscle loss. Side effect from medication, absolutely. So you're going to have to get with your doctor on that. I can't say not to take it, but I can say this. If you improve insulin resistance, that should naturally lower the blood pressure. So the need for medication will go way down to 0. But if you fix insulin resistance, you will help the muscles regain, come back, be absorbed, and at the same time, clear out the diabetes. So I think he's in pretty good, if he could just focus on fixing insulin resistance, which is in all of my videos, I think he's going to be so happy in the end that it'll solve the majority of his problems. So go ahead and do that, Carrie. Thanks for calling. Hey, Sharon, you're on the air. You're from Indiana.
Yes. Thanks for taking my call, Dr. Berg.
Sure.
My question is that I would like to start the ketosis process because I fit the adrenal profile. I had surgery and had my left kidney removed 12 years ago, and I'd like to know, would it be safe or productive for me since I only have one adrenal gland?
Yeah, good question, because they obviously took out your adrenal. Your kidney and your adrenal, the other one, has adapted by now. So they can adapt, they just compensate. So it's a little bigger, it's working a little bit harder. I think it's absolutely necessity to do the intermittent fasting and ketosis to salvage and take care of the kidney. The benefits of your kidney, I mean, think about being let's take glucose to the extreme, being a diabetic. Think about what that does to your kidneys. It destroys the kidneys, leads to kidney dialysis. So switching your fuel source now will probably make your other kidney very, very happy, and your adrenal will take the stress off of it. Highly recommend it. Jump in and start doing it immediately. Good question. Hey, Leanne, you're from Ohio. You're the last question.
Oh, sweet. Hi. I have called in before. I had found you actually after I went to a biofeed session, and she had said I had all these issues and I had to higher my fat and all this stuff. So my daughter and I have been, we had found you, and I had started getting some of your supplements, and she has kidney stones, and she had quite a few of them, and all of them are gone except for one. She just had to get that lithotripsy. It was stuck in her ureter. But I have to tell you, that stuff is amazing, and I feel great on doing the keto and the intermittent fasting and everything. Love your recipes, your wife, everything. But one of the recipes, it was for Keto Bomb. It called for hemp cream. I don't know what that is. I've been trying to find it. Is there a substitute for it since I can't find it? And I also had a question about one of the your YouTube videos. You had a huge salad with a huge fork. Do you really use that?
No, that was an exaggeration. I just wanted to emphasize the point that you want to have a big salad, but no, I don't have that big of a salad. Some people actually think I do.
I thought that was cute.
I don't. It's a big salad, but it's not that big.
Okay.
But good. So I think you could substitute the hemp. If it was an oil, just with coconut oil, I mean, that's one thing. But if it was a hemp powder or hemp seed, you can probably do chia seed. If it was or coconut powder. I think it was probably a powder. It wasn't an oil. Hemp, yeah. I think it was a powder. So you can do chia powder, or I wouldn't do flax. Chia is pretty neutral, so that would be a good one to do. Hemp is just a protein powder, as far as I know. Now, kidney stones, so the electrolyte powder that you've probably already taken has 1,000 milligrams of potassium citrate, which is exactly what your daughter needs to prevent stones. When she does the ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, that'll drop insulin, that will help reduce the stones, but you want to be careful of the spinach. I would not consume spinach because it's very high in oxalates. Kale, by the way, is low in oxalates, so that's fine. Cabbage is low in oxalates. Peanuts are high in oxalates. So is chocolate, even unsweetened, I'm sorry. So the point is that you want to get the list of oxalates. I think I actually have a video on that, and avoid those foods, because a lot of people start eating more peanuts and then more spinach, and then they get a kidney stone. So every day you want to do the lemon juice with water and the potassium citrate. Hey, thanks so much, guys. This is great. I appreciate your attention. I will let you know when the next Q&A is going to be. So until then, have a great week.